We have a very special guest in the building. Disclaimer: she is here on her own free will and is not being held captive. Our new guest needs no introduction. It's Talia Juice. Talia, thank you for doing your monthly charity work and coming on the podcast. I'm super excited to have you. Hi, thank you for having me. This episode is brought to you by RuPaul's Drag Race.msp. Check them out on Instagram at RuPaul's Drag Race.msp and on YouTube on the channel Talia Juice. Let's get into these questions. Talia Juice, where does your name come from? Well, the Talia part comes from this old MUA YouTuber and cover girl I watched as a child who unfortunately passed from cancer named Talia Joy. The juice part just came because I love orange juice TBH. I guess also had the J sound. I made up the name when I was like 12. You started out on YouTube doing Talia Top Trendsetter. You then moved on to Instagram and started a new competition at RuPaul's Drag Race.msp. Why didn't you continue Talia's Top Trendsetter on Instagram? Why did you change the name? Well, I'll start by saying Talia's Top Trendsetter TTT was supposed to continue while I also hosted RPDRMSP. I think that's why I created a different name, because I was trying to make them separate series. I named RPDRMSP the name it is because, honestly, I thought people typing in to see the official RPDR account would be more likely to see it and join our community. It was mostly named to market and reach more people so our community would grow. My race was the second race ever in the community, behind the discontinued XCS Drag Race. But to answer your other question, the only reason TTT was ended was because my computer had broken, was entirely unfunctional. I didn't get a replacement for about a year or two, so video editing was not an option. Since then mobile editing has come a long way, but at the time there was only mobile iMovie or early Filmora, and those apps were not sufficient for how I edited. This was also pre-phones allowing us to screen record. OMG, yes, I remember your broken computer era. It wasn't pretty. I was kinda late to competing in our community because I couldn't get screenshots. I didn't really start doing races until our community was about a year old. After having 10 seasons of Talia's Top Trendsetter, which includes 2 All-Stars seasons, you moved to Instagram to now have 10 seasons, 3 All-Stars seasons and 3 Holislay Spectacular seasons of your race. You have in total hosted 26 seasons combined. How do you feel about this, and what has kept you going throughout your time hosting? So honestly, I think my critiquing has come a long way, as well as my tastes in fashion and points of reference. It's also been really helpful outside of the community because I can apply my critiquing skills to myself and in other positions where I'm asked for feedback. It's become an oddly niche but valuable life skill. But wow, it kinda feels unreal. 26 seasons is just too many. But as of now I'm not stopping soon. I think what's kept me going is my love of drag art, video production and design. It's just always been a part of me, and if I wasn't in this community, I think I'd be applying those skills elsewhere. What mostly keeps my hosting is the support and love I get from contestants and viewers. They always find a way to make me come back. Talia, you have hosted many seasons of your race at RuPaul's Drag Race.msp. Which of the 16 seasons has been your favorite to host? I have loved many different seasons for different reasons, but I honestly think season 7 holds a very special place in my heart. At the time, I was feeling so down I really was considering ending my race. My S7 cast really taught me how to love hosting, drag, and creativity again. I really cannot thank those queens enough. Beyond that, I think it was a shifting point in my race, which taught me to edit better, critique better, and overall step my race up. It definitely walked so other seasons like 8, 9, 10 could run. Talia, what do you plan on doing after the MSP drag community dies out? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Honestly, for somebody who always has a plan, I don't have a plan. I would say the goals I'd like to achieve is being the best version of myself, somebody the people around me value and want to be around, in a place where I can actually help people and make others happy, and ideally be happy too. Talia, how did you feel when the community shifted from not editing looks to some people editing looks to now where everyone edits? Did you ever feel like you'd be left behind if you didn't edit? Well, TBH, I was one of the earliest queens to edit, if not one of the originals. Now I am not saying I created editing by any means, but back in YouTube Drag 2018-ish I started really basic editing. I'm talking like just mirroring bracelets or adding items that weren't stackable due to MSP's limitations of one item per clothing region. I remember getting such backlash from other drag queens for not being MSP enough, cheating and stuff like that, because at the time, I was the only one doing it. I have always been pro express yourself and will continue to be. I played a lot of different games, particularly ones where you could customize your avatars, and I simply felt MSP to be lacking. That is why I took up editing. It's really weird because queens who were against me first editing began to edit too once it became more popular, so that was kinda funny. Honestly, I think I still hold up a pretty good MSP catalog look game if we banned editing altogether, but I really love the freedom editing and drawing gives. It requires artists rethinking and imagining the possibilities without restrictions. And I love that. You wanna name names? Oh, for being mean to me? Yes, the Italianators will get them. Honestly, they aren't in the community anymore and long dead. If they came over to Instagram Drag, they were the earliest of members. Oh, okay. Talia, you've worked on your race, the Crystals, MSP Weekly, the awards, Telia, your podcast, and Talia's top trendsetter in AMUA race. You even had your own shop at one point. By far, what is your favorite project you've worked on in the community? My favorite is hard. I think MSP Weekly Telia was my favorite projects. MSP Weekly was like the predecessor to Telia. Unfortunately, Telia just lives as a memory because the posts no longer exist. Though I do have a Google Drive folder with the 3 episodes I did. I just really loved reporting on the community and having a hub for all things in our community. The problem for both those projects is it was too massive for one person on a weekly basis. Also with Telia, that was a Wednesday series for an MSP Drag Presents. When other queens shows failed to be posted timely or submitted by the deadline, it pushed my own work back too. Sometimes I'd have to change things because they'd be outdated or new updates that changed the story came though. Also, I know you didn't ask, but I mostly stopped doing things outside of hosting to give more queens the opportunity to take up these big projects, such as interviewing the community, reporting the drama, etc. I know I'm already a leading figure for many, but I don't want to be a dictator or take up too much space in the community. I would love to see more games, news podcasts pop back up like they are now. I think they are just great for the overall community. Talia, after not being on a podcast since your own, how does it feel to be back on one, but this time as a guest? TBH, it's selfish to say, but I have always wanted to be on one of these. I've never really been asked to be on any podcast, so it's nice to speak on my own path. I don't know why it never worked on, but it didn't, but it just leaves more juicy unexposed content for this. Thank you, Talia.